So in this video, we're going to talk about the S23 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And I'm not going to tell you yet that which of these two phones is iPhone and which of these is a Samsung device. I will let you guess and tell me in the comments that did you guess it right? That which one of these two is the iPhone and which one of these is the S23 Ultra. So we're going to talk a lot of stuff about, because these two phones have the tremendous amount of cameras at the back and the potency of their cameras is talked about a lot. So did you guess which one's the iPhone and which one's the S23 Ultra? If not, continue watching the video and I will tell you in few minutes. So let us first begin with the unboxing of iPhone 15 Pro Max and also the iPhone 15 Plus. It's the same usual box that we are used to seeing from Apple, with these paper pull style seals to keep the box intact. On the inside, you obviously see the latest phones, but there is one more big change this year, and that's the USB-C cable. I mean, I'm really happy with the change because now I can use my Mix Fold 3's charger for this iPhone. The first most noticeable thing with these phones is that Apple has managed to shave some weight off compared to previous generation models, and you can instantly feel that. Continuing with what else has changed with the Pro models is that the bezels have also shrunk in thickness. You get a new action button which is limited to Pro models. You can use this switch to map shortcuts and launch certain apps, or go one level deeper and launch an action within the app itself. This reminds me of the Bixby key that Samsung brought long back and eventually got rid of it. I mean, how many shortcuts do you need on a phone? Let's count how many does this iPhone have. 1. This new action button. 2 is the double tap at the back. 3 and 4 on the lock screen. And 5, the triple tap, the power button. Not sure what was the need for all this. I mean, when you already could program all of this in several other ways through multiple options already available on this phone. The body is now made out of titanium alloy and has rounded edges. Apparently, the alloy is supposed to be stronger than the stainless steel. However, if you've seen stress test videos on YouTube, you already know that iPhone 15 Pro Max are cracking easily compared to how the previous generation fared in these stress tests. So I'd suggest you protect these phones with proper cases. But please steer away from the fine woven case from Apple. That's trash quality and I would not recommend it at all. In this video, we will focus more on the Pro Max series, as there is going to be a separate video for the non-Pro series, which I believe are bigger upgrades than these fancier Pro phones. Pro Max has always been the poster child in iPhone's lineup, and this year is no different. Like last year, this year also it has the larger display, bigger battery, new camera upgrades, and costs the maximum money. Camera updates are very interesting this year, and Apple has finally managed to enhance their optical zoom levels to 5x, which still is half of what Samsung has on the S23 Ultra. Technically speaking, both phones have a very different approach, as Samsung has two optical zoom lenses which are 3x and 10x, and Apple has employed only one 5x lens. Before we get into the camera comparison, I thought I'll let you know the result of the quiz I started this video with. What you saw on your left side was the S23 Ultra, which is still on the left side, and what you saw on the right side is obviously the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So did you get that right? Let me know in the comments below, and do subscribe and like this video. Let's get into the camera comparison now. So ideally, images up until 3x should be identical. Images between 3.1x to 5x should be better on the iPhone Pro Max, and images beyond 5x should again be better on Samsung S23 Ultra. I'm going to put some samples here for you to decide which you think looks better with respect to zoom photography. Numbers don't always guarantee better results, and an example of that is the main camera lens on these phones. Apple is now pushing out 24 megapixel images through its 48 megapixel lens, and Samsung uses its 200 megapixel sensor to push out 12 megapixel images. This translates into iPhone Pro Max having twice the amount of detail in the final output from its main camera, which is clearly visible when you look at the textures captured or highlights gathered from the respective lenses. Both of them utilize pixel binning to compress the sensor data, but Apple is able to do it at much better shutter speeds, with a slight edge in the details captured as well. So basically, Apple is once again challenging the smartphone makers with their camera upgrades, and it will be interesting to see which direction Samsung takes from here. We are already hearing Samsung's dropping the 10x telephoto lens in favor of a 5x lens, and it will be interesting to see the implementation design with this. At the performance front, I think the new A17 Pro chip is once again sailing ahead of the competition with better Geekbench scores to prove this. Let us see how it fares in near future, as Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is just a couple of months away, and I feel the new high-end flagships from Android will match Apple's processing power shortly. That being said, Apple announced that iPhone Pro Max will be able to run the real console games natively, and perhaps that will surely please the gamers out there. But you do need to keep in mind that these console level games will deplete your iPhone 15 Pro Max's battery in just under an hour of gameplay. Otherwise also, the battery life on iPhone 15 Pro Max is not what we are used to seeing from Apple. Either it's Apple who has missed the bus this year with battery life performance, or probably it's Samsung which has done wonderful with the battery life this year around, as there is hardly any difference between the two in terms of battery life in my usage. And to add to the injury, Samsung S23 Ultra charges at a higher rate than the iPhone 15 Pro Max, despite of using the same Type-C port now. In terms of overall package, iPhone 15 Pro Max is a decent device and works perfectly if you are an iOS user, and yet it doesn't bring in something extraordinary to tempt the existing 13 Pro Max or 14 Pro Max users. And neither does it have any extra bells and whistles to lure the Android flagship users towards itself. And with respect to value for money, iPhone 15 Pro Max is still quite an expensive device to purchase. But Apple was never out there to appeal to the frugal individuals, and they have positioned themselves as luxury goods maker instead. I mean, for the same kind of money, you can get far more powerful multitasking Android phones such as Z Fold 5, Pixel Fold or Mix Fold 3. And yet, time in a can, Apple wins its positioning game and people line up outside Apple stores to get their hands on these latest iPhones. I personally have never used an iPhone as my primary phone, simply because my preferences are more aligned with the Android offerings, and I don't think that I'm going to switch anytime soon, beside during these seasonal videos that I make. That's about it. Thank you for watching, guys. Cheers.